Jay, did you ever think you would live through the opening act of every zombie movie? Like on TV, it says like, there's a virus going around as things progressively get worse.
At first people are like, it's no big deal. Things are fine.
That's in another oh my God. It's in times like these, Jay, when you think of, your family, friends, loved ones, church, religion, and you realize what's most important.
Toilet paper?
Things.
Yeah, look at this wonderful woman who just told me to go F myself and mind my own effing business, who just bought the entire store of paper towels, toilet paper, so that nobody else can have any.
And stuff.
Having more things than the other person.
These are empty as well.
Is it a virus? We don't know.
We have been seeing non-stop traffic, mostly for ammo.
Declared martial law until...
Daddy, what's martial law?
I just want one pack. No, not one pack.
If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying.
Dummies!
You're suggesting...
Dummies! Dummies!
Are these people alive or dead?
We don't know.
Because you want to stay the fuck away from other people, and praying to God won't do anything, and you can't go to church, and your family members and loved ones will infect you. But as long as you have material possessions, you'll be okay. All those hippies were wrong. And as long as you band together and all sing John Lennon's Imagine, we're going to be A-okay.
That's the best part of this whole thing, is more people have come to realize how insanely stupid most celebrities are.
It's a virus, I get it, like, I respect it. Like, yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but like, inevitable?
Yeah, I like after one day of quarantine, they're like, nobody's paying attention to me!
It's the great equalizer. And what's terrible about it is what's great about it.
And then they sing Imagine from their 15,000 square foot Hollywood mansions.
Taking a jacuzzi, smoking a little stogie.
Well, they're trying to uplift everybody.
It's their job as entertainers.
It is. It's their responsibility to take care of us. Not our families or our loved ones or our government. It's going to be Gal Gadot. Well, speaking of the world's falling apart and people being incredibly obnoxious douchebags, Cabin Fever.
Let's talk about Eli Roth.
It's funny because this is the first movie I thought of when this whole pandemic thing started.
There's no way this fucking contagious fucker's coming in here.
Bert, he's sick, for Christ's sake.
No, fucking, what do you want him to come in here and fucking touch all your shit?
And then unrelated, you said, hey, let's do a review of Cabin Fever. And I didn't realize at the time that you have not seen it in like 20 years or whatever it came out?
It's been 18 years, believe it or not. Yeah, and so I guess this is more of a revisit.
That's right. And I'm going to make a bet with you. I bet you that I can drink nothing but beer for this entire discussion.
Why, Jay? You're on.
It's 1 in the afternoon. That's a reference to the film Cabin Fever, because our douchebag characters make a douchebag bet that they can drink nothing but beer for the entire weekend that they're at the cabin.
Yes. Cabin Fever came out in 2002.
That's crazy.
And I remember liking this film. And so I was like, I haven't watched it in a long time. Maybe we should do a review on it. Jay, I called you on my rotary phone because the cell phone towers have since stopped working.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we do a review on Cabin Fever? So I watched it again, and it does not hold up. I remember being pleasantly surprised when I saw it the first time, because the first half, of course, I was annoyed. The characters are all awful.
One time I was masturbating, and my dog came up and started licking my
Don't go to college. It's a scam. It sucks.
Bert, you it's not funny.
Yes, it is, you f***ing
Yo, what the f***, man?
God, we can't leave you alone for 5 minutes. What the f*** were you shooting at?
Means you're a f***ing What do you think?
You guys.
With the exception of the Boy Meets World kid.
Well, he's nothing. All the other characters are douchebags, and he's just kind of there.
And then, spoilers, they all die miserably. The second half of the movie is just everything goes to shit, and this virus spreads around, and everyone dies in awful, kind of horrible ways.
Well, it's kind of a Romero setup of your characters. Their downfall is not the outside threat; it's themselves because they start turning on each other.
Yeah.
But then there's lots of other things piled on top of that have nothing to do with the virus, which makes the movie very messy, which is what I think is kind of fun and interesting about it.
For being a low budget, relatively speaking, low budget movie, because I think it was like $1 million to make or something.
Yeah, it was made independently, and then it got picked up by Lionsgate and became a moderate hit.
Yeah, I think it was like one of the biggest profitable horror movies of 2002.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of people that went to see it were seeing it as just a horror movie. I was, as someone who has grown up on cheap B-movie schlock, I was like, this is like one of those types of movies in like a mainstream movie theater.
Yeah, and we have different tastes. You enjoy body horror, schlocky B-movie horror. I do as well, but as long as it's clever and well put together and well thought out, like, I don't know, like a Shaun of the Dead, you know, where I mean, yeah.
As far as horror comedies, that's the gold standard.
And that's the thing is that this is, my brain kept going, is this a black comedy, or is he trying to be serious and artsy here, or is he trying to make this like a stoner comedy, or does he think this is funny? As a 54-year-old man now, I look at it and I say, oh, this feels so amateurish now. Like his pointless director cameo.
Awesome.
And like that stupid scene where the kid does the karate and yells pancakes. Where, where
the best part of the movie.
No pancakes.
Pancakes!
No pancakes!
Inside jokey territory, like when you and I used to make movies in high school.
We just put stupid shit in there to make ourselves laugh.
Yes.
I can see that. It's definitely a case of, because it was Eli Roth's first movie. We'll talk more about Eli Roth. But it's that classic case of like a first-time filmmaker just saying like, I'm gonna put everything I love into this movie. So there's elements of like 80s sex comedies, there's Evil Dead, there's like 70s grindhouse stuff.
Right. And Evil Dead 2 is another good example alongside Shaun of the Dead, where it knows exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're saying he's throwing everything in the kitchen sink in there because he can. Oh! And that's one of the unique qualities of the movie. Since it was independently made, there wasn't a big studio going, no.
Can't do this, you gotta cut this, cut the pancakes, kid.
Yeah, that scene is weird.
Maybe cut down on how many times characters call each other gay or retarded.
Why would you want to kill squirrels?
Because they're gay?
Bert, don't be a fucking retard.
So wait, you like me now? Is this like a date?
Don't be gay.
Yeah, well, hey, it was the early 2000s.
That's true, it was a different time.
That shit wouldn't fly today.
So what's the fox urine for?
Oh, that's for foxes.
What's the rifle for?
Oh, that's for n****s.
Neither does that particular joke. At first I thought he was doing it for shock. I mean, it's the best N-word joke in any movie, right?
It almost works.
Oh, here you go, all polished and everything. Isn't that a beauty?
Well, that's what killed it for me, is like the hip-hop music. Like, you're making a joke about racism, but that's a little racist putting the hip-hop music.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, you could have done it a little differently.
Play completely dramatically.
Yeah.
Having them walk up with like hip-hop music, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, it was awkwardly presented. In concept, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's this classic bait and switch.
But like you said about like the studio meddling is like, yeah, like that type of humor should not be in a serious like body horror paranoia film, but it's all just in there. And I remember reading interviews with Eli Roth before the movie came out, and he was talking about how it's like I wanted to make like a real horror movie because horror's kind of been watered down, and this is like the early 2000s. So you have like the post-Scream stuff, and everything was like teen actors, like WB actors, and he's like, I want to make a real like gritty horror movie with violence and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, that's great. But then I saw the movie and I was like, oh wait, he didn't make a horror movie. He made a comedy.
He wanted some nudity. He wanted some violence, blood splattering, dogs to eat people with bodies apart.
That's what I say when it like if the movie is about a virus that starts to infect this group of kids and they start to turn on each other, like that's your movie. But then on top of that, you also have this violent dog. You've got the creepy locals. Like it's all these things.
Yeah, like the general store owner always looks like a SNL skit character.
Everybody knows not to sit next to Dennis. Mongrel will give you tetanus.
It just looks like it's coming out of a comedy movie.
Yeah.
It's not like creepy, and the dynamic between all the characters. Like you said, if you wanted to make a virus movie about where 5 or 6 main characters all turn on each other, you need to set up all these like complicated internal conflicts. The only thing they had was the Boy Meets World kid was in love with the blonde-haired girl.
Don't be gay.
And she's a little flaky.
And the one guy is a law student, and he's a germaphobe. And then the other guy with the FU hat,
yeah,
he is also kind of like a hothead. He's also germaphobe, but he gets really angry.
He's the biggest douchebag. He's the most obnoxious. He wants to shoot squirrels because they're gay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this. He has a date on his T-shirt.
Yeah. What is that?
That is the date that the Olsen twins turn 18.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes. So it's like it's slimy, like. But that's one of the things I think is kind of interesting is what, like he's portrayed as the biggest dickhead and the biggest like obnoxious character, but the minute that things start to get serious, he kind of takes control.
He's the most rational.
And he's like, because the blonde girl gets infected, and they're trying to rush in the room to help her, and he's like, no, he's like yelling at them to stay out.
Well, at first the infected patient 0 guy comes to the door.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't let him in.
So I thought that was interesting that you have the most obnoxious character who ends up kind of taking the most control as the movie goes along.
Well, you could twist up all the, the tropes and the stereotypes, like, I think that he kind of did that because the blonde and the Boy Meets World guy, whatever the fuck his name is.
He's Boy Meets World forever.
She seems to be the most like pure one, like, I don't know, but she's the first to get infected.
How intentional was it for the Boy Meets World character to be rapey? Was that supposed to be a sweet moment that then turns into a horror moment?
Yeah, it was definitely the most uncomfortable scene. Like, he's obviously very timid. He's scared to make the move.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then so someone calls him like a pussy.
Just stick with the girls, all right?
What's that supposed to mean? It means you're a fucking pussy. What do you think?
And so maybe that was him trying to be assertive. Like, she was quasi asleep, trying to get that engine going, whether or not she liked it or not. Boy Meets World was getting a little handsy.
It's a little like that's when you kind of like, because I used to not defend Eli Roth, but it's like, oh, he clearly has a very strong knowledge of horror. He loves horror.
Yeah.
Unapologetically, even like weird, Italian cannibal movies and shit like that. So it's like, oh, okay. He's made these characters obnoxious because those are the type of characters you have in like a Friday the 13th movie. You're not necessarily supposed to like them.
Because you write what you know.
But then, yeah, the more you see interviews with him and stuff, you're like, oh, that's kind of just him. He's a little douchey.
People would come out and they're like, your movie's really homophobic. Which, of course, makes me respond going, what a faggy thing to say. Like, when I can't help.
Wait, let's talk about the plot.
Okay.
Patient 0, we'll call him. Man in the woods.
Presumably homeless, I guess?
The actor? Oh, I don't know. Does the character have a name?
I don't know. I think he's living out in those woods, right?
Okay. The guy's carrying a rabbit, and he comes and finds his dog, and his dog is dead and has been infected with the disease. So I guess the dog is patient zero.
Yeah.
Where the dog got it from, I don't know, but the guy's burnt body, after he pounds on the door of the cabin and then the kids light him on fire and he runs away, he eventually falls into the water and that infects the stream. And so when the evil townsfolk, the sheriff and his deputies all burned the bodies, I thought they were involved in like a cover-up, but they're just burning the bodies because...
Yeah.
Explain that to me.
I don't know. If you expanded on it where it's like that's the town's main income is from their bottled water, so they don't want it to get out that the water's infected.
Yeah.
But it seems unrelated,
Yeah, because there's a joke where the natural spring water truck leaves.
Yeah,
and
and then they're drinking the lemonade from the kids.
Kids scoop the water, so it's like, uh-oh, it's spreading. That's like kind of sequel bait almost, but not really. So they were unaware that the water supply was tainted. It would be like interesting, like, oh yeah, that's our river, but you know, the mayor of the town is dumping illegal chemicals here, and he's not supposed to.
Yeah, that's where the virus started from, or something.
And so the mayor says, well, stop doing that. Burn all those college kids because they know the secret.
Yeah.
Or let's wipe their existence out so no one comes looking for them. So we don't get caught doing this bad thing. But it's not really that. It's
I've always been confused. At the end, you have the goofy Deputy Winston character, the party man character.
Howdy, ma'am. Everything's fine. Just go back inside, have yourself a big 40, just party.
Okay.
And we have Boy Meets World is in the hospital, and then it cuts to Deputy Winston driving the car, and he's like talking back to him. And it almost feels like it was shot later without Boy Meets World there, because he doesn't respond, but Deputy Winston talks to him as if he responded.
We're gonna have a long night of partying, man. I'm gonna tell you that, a long night. Water. I ain't got no water, man. All I got's a 40.
And then we see all of his friends being burned on a bonfire, and then it just cuts to him in a pond or in the lake. Yeah. And I was like, how did he get there? Did Deputy Winston toss him there?
It's not explained.
I've always been confused about what the hell happened.
I think they're two unrelated things because there's two police officers and a doctor, and they're asking Boy Meets World what happened. And he starts telling them the truth. You know, a crazy guy who was infected with a virus came to our cabin, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, let's step outside. And they say something like, well, we're not prepared to deal with this.
We're not equipped to handle a situation like this. Cook County's his only shot.
Fine. You put him in the car.
And it was implied that Boy Meets World was given to Party Guy for him to kill him.
Yeah.
So I think Party Guy eventually took him, made him get out of the cop car on the side of the road, probably shot him.
Assumed he would die on his own or something.
Or shot him, killed him, Boy Meets World.
That's a scene.
Yeah.
Had that happen in the movie.
Well, we need to see it.
Yeah.
He rolled down the hill and landed in the river.
Yeah.
I think it was...
Even though the river has already been infected by the disease.
Oh, here's what I think may have happened.
Okay.
Party Guy is a fuck up. He was told to do this thing, but he did it wrong. He shot Boy Meets World. Boy Meets World fell down the hill and was partially stuck into the river. A competent sheriff scooped up the burnt body, disposed of that, burned the rest of the infected, and said, Boy Meets World is also in this bonfire, I guess, because I told Deputy's Party Guy to do it.
Oh, he assumed the body was in that.
Yes, or he assumed Deputy Party Guy disposed of it properly, but Party Guy also then created another strain of the deadly disease by being irresponsible and disposing of the body improperly, which has then ended up in the river, infecting the lemonade and the bottled water leaving the town.
Well, it's very convoluted. It involves a lot of assumptions.
It involves a lot of missing scenes.
Yes, yes.
Like a Party Guy, you know, he's like, I'm supposed to kill you now. Oh, but he gets a phone call. There's a party happening. Or I'm supposed to bring you to this bonfire to burn you alive. Oh, there's a party happening. I gotta go. Shoots him. Rolls down the hill. Yeah.
The coyotes will take care of him.
Coyotes will take care of him. Yeah, he won't make a fire. And then Boy Meets World is still alive and struggles to get to the river.
Yeah.
And falls and dies in the river. And then Party Guy picks up his cell phone and says, yes, Sheriff. Yep, shot him good. I buried him in the dirt. He's done for. I'm lying because I want to go party.
Yeah. Yeah, even when we see the bonfire, the sheriff or whoever it is turns to Deputy Winston, and he's like, did you take care of the other one?
You got rid of that other one, right?
Hey, I think there's another one in the basement.
And that's where you should have a moment of where he's like, you know, nervous that he's going to find out that he didn't actually dispose of him properly. But he doesn't have any real reaction to it. It's very bizarre.
He ran out of money. Eli Roth ran out of money.
That's what I know. I know the movie got shut down at one point because it was being shot non-union, and the unions came around and like hassled them and got the movie shut down. So I don't know if that affected certain things in the movie, but
there's a thing about the guy. Someone kept having eye injuries.
Oh, that's the blonde guy. He got like a shard of glass in his eye or something.
Yeah.
So there's multiple scenes in the movie where you just see him in profile of the side that didn't
to leave the set. They had to shoot things like they'd shoot daytime scenes in the cabin at night, so they blasted tons of light through the window, and it's sloppy, kind of low budget. It's not flawless.
Blonde guy though is the smartest character in the movie. That's why I say this is the first movie I thought of when this whole pandemic thing started.
Stop! Stop! I don't want to get sick. I don't want any of us getting sick. But you two fucking fuckers insist on touching her, so you two can fucking rot. But not me. No fucking way, not me.
Then he runs out into the woods with cases of beer to hide in the cave. It's like, that's me.
Wise decision.
Wise decision, but then they kind of pay it off in an ironic way, but you see it coming a mile away because we hold on him in the cabin. He comes back, everybody's dead, and then he's like, I made it, and they just hold on him saying that over and over.
I did it. I fucking made it. I knew it. I knew it. I fucking made it.
And you're just like, all right, shoot him now.
Is a poorly done homage to Night of the Living Dead?
It's the Night of the Living Dead ending, but telegraphed from a mile away.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
What is the appeal of this movie? Is it the gory nature of it? Is it the unconventional kind of plotting?
That's it for me, where it's just like we said, like this would not get made by a studio. It has this kind of devil-may-care attitude that I think is fun. But it does get distracting in certain points where it's like, because I remember I enjoyed the movie the first time I saw it just because I thought it was funny. Some intentional, some not intentional.
Paul, that guy asked for our help. We lit him on fire.
There's a good horror movie to be made about, a virus spreading and friends turning on each other, and I would like to see that movie too. But there's something to like when like Boy Meets World is driving that pickup truck, and then a deer comes through, and the deers like kick in, and it's just like another thing. It becomes like so many like absurd things stacked on top of each other.
It's an awkwardly done hodgepodge of homages to many different types of horror movies. The deer part, very Evil Dead-ish.
Yeah.
There's even like dog cam at one point.
Yeah, like POV, but it's like filtered red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that in there?
Yeah, it's like the Night of the Living Dead part. I mean, there's just a lot of different styles, and it's like all kind of mishmashed together.
The way they make the blonde girl, they quarantine her. They ever go out to the work shed.
Yeah.
And even the cabin and where the work shed is like identical to Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Work shed.
But having her go out there is just like what they do to Wilford Brimley in The Thing. So the biggest laugh in the movie for me, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or not. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like shocking, but they quarantine her and she's just in the shed rotting, and then Boy Meets World and the other girl have sex. And it shows them like having sex, and then it just hard cuts to blonde girl rotting, and like it's such a like abrupt cut that it always makes me laugh, and I don't know if it's on purpose.
Yeah, the brunette and the blonde-haired guy, the lawyer character, they immediately start having sex. So it's like, but then the airplane, when she's like, I feel like I'm on an airplane that's crashing.
All you really want to do is grab the person next to you and fuck the shit out of them, because you're gonna be dead soon anyway.
And it's almost like a joke on, when characters in horror movies have sex at the most inappropriate time
Sure.
for TNA purposes in horror movies,
Yeah.
where it's almost like, oh, come on.
Again, though, is that intentional?
Yeah. Was that the joke?
Yeah.
Was to play off that trope from horror movies, or was it something else? Like, and then it's like the Boy Meets World character is no longer our likable protagonist because I guess he's done with blonde-haired girl. Now that,
Just immediately goes after the other girl, yeah.
Now that she looks like Evil Ash.
And there's other things that feel very David Lynchian. We should talk about the David Lynch connection, which nobody ever talks about.
You go ahead and you talk all day about that, Jay.
Well, this might be a Mandela effect thing, but I swear I remember reading an interview with Eli Roth before the movie came out, maybe while it was even still being made, I don't even know, like some obscure horror movie website. And that's where I'd first heard of Eli Roth, and he was talking about David Lynch is the executive producer of Cabin Fever. There's no information about this anywhere. There's like one Variety article I could find in searching that said David Lynch was going to produce this horror movie, because Eli Roth apparently started out as like an assistant to David Lynch. Like he worked on David Lynch's old website, which was a weird website.
He coiffed his hair.
So yeah, he was like executive producer of the movie. Angelo Badalamenti, who's done the music for a lot of David Lynch stuff, did a few pieces of music for this movie.
I saw that in the credits, yeah.
Jordan Ladd, the blonde girl, she's been in some David Lynch stuff. So there's lots of David Lynch connections.
But there's no Lynch pin.
That movie came out, and his name is not anywhere attached to it. And I'm like, did David Lynch look at the movie and just say, no, I don't want my name attached to this fucking crap?
Bullshit. Total fucking bullshit.
So I wonder, like, I never heard David Lynch talk about it. I've never heard Eli Roth mention it. It's like it's this unspoken thing where David Lynch just said, I'm never talking to you again. I have no idea. I've always been curious.
Was the bunny costume a Shining homage?
I assumed so, yeah. That's meant to be a what the fuck moment. Where like you see the bear giving a blowjob in The Shining. Here we have a, although the bunny is, I think, holding a plate of pancakes. Yeah. It's like, just have the kid yell pancakes. Don't have that tie in with anything. But that's another thing where it's like, I'm just going to put this in here. It's like, all right.
Well, it's like the little POV kind of feverish.
Yeah, it could be
it's explainable, like the effects of the virus are taken in and he's hallucinating.
Yeah.
Things that have happened, because the bunny could be a reference to the rabbit in the beginning of the film.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But Boy Meets World didn't witness that, so
Right.
it wouldn't be in his head. It's a little attempt at artsiness, I guess. I don't know. I think it's I don't know much about Eli Roth, and based on your description, it seems like it perfectly encapsulates him.
Sure.
A guy with ambition to make a movie who thinks he's pretty clever, is sort of clever, but relies heavily on things that influenced him.
Yeah. And in addition to that, things that just make him laugh.
Yes.
That where if an audience is watching the movie, you're like, what? What is this?
He's not a genius. He's a filmmaker that kind of sucks up stuff and turns it into something mediocre. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Dare I say a George Lucas?
Oh my God! Is his remake of Death Wish with Bruce Willis? Is that The Phantom Menace? Because it's the most boring thing ever.
I think I harbor a resentment for Eli Roth because on the Cabin Fever DVD, he includes his short films from college, I think.
Fuck that show and fuck those fucking cherries. Look at those fucking ginger beers.
Here's what I think of those fascist prats.
Oh, I see.
At the time I saw this, I was making Orange's Revenge of the Eggplant.
Here we go. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And doing fruit short films since fucking high school. And I said, damn it. I make the fruit films.
Don't be gay.
Well, I guess that's all there is to say about 2002's Cabin Fever.
That was our revisit. Mm-hmm. Ah, I beat you!
Oh, we're all gonna die. Who cares?
It's true. And on that note, we'll leave you with this picture of Jason Momoa buying tons of bottled water from Costco.